Hey and welcome, this is Psychedelic Actualization. On this channel we talk about topics like self-realization, self-actualization and working with psychedelics to live a more authentic and fulfilling life. So if you're interested in any of these topics, subscribe to the channel right now. Today I want to talk about a DMT experience that I had recently, where I had my first real entity encounter. Well, I've had some entity encounter experiences on mushrooms or also on DMT a couple of times, but they were kind of vague and sometimes kind of weird as well. But this time it was a very specific encounter that I had, that many people from the psychedelic community report back. And it was an experience of kind of being adopted into a space and then being worked on from entities. So entities kind of worked on me. So let me back up a little bit for the story. It's a very short, very nice little story. So I've been working in a restaurant all day long, and my friend called me while I was working, and he was like, "Hey, Vegu, do you have the Changa pipe maybe at home?" Because he was having the calling to maybe have an experience, and I'm like, "Nah, sorry, I have it with me. I always have it with me, just in case." And he's like, "Okay, it's fine. Okay, nice." And I haven't had a DMT experience for quite a while. And then after work, I was thinking to myself, "Oh, a DMT experience. That would be nice to have a little Changa experience, maybe." So I drove to my parents' house, and there was this little playground where I played all my childhood and where I had a lot of experiences in my childhood. And I never smoked anything there, well, besides weed. But I was having the calling to experience a little bit of DMT. So because of that call of my friend, so I got the pipe and I just put a little tiny bit of Changa in there. Just to have a very light experience. The pipe was also not cleaned up, so it was kind of, the air got stuck. You couldn't inhale with full hits. And I just put a little bit in there. So I climbed up this little thing on the playground to get to a higher point, have a nice view on the field. And also I was facing the full moon. It was a full moon night. It was very cold, very late at night. And I was facing the full moon and just feeling very calm and feeling ready for a DMT experience. So I got the pipe, I smoked a little bit, just a tiny hit, was holding it in, and I could feel immediately, okay, this is gonna be interesting, this is gonna be a little bit stronger. So I took the second hit, okay, this is gonna be way more intense than I anticipated. Took the third hit and boom, I was out. I was immediately pulled out of my body, which is interesting because sometimes at way higher doses of Changa, I do not have these out-of-body experiences. So it just happened like that. It's very interesting. It's makes me think if we have a choice of influence on which kind of experience we're having and how intense the experience is gonna be. Because just with tiny little bit of Changa and not that long inhales, I got a way more intense experience than other times where I smoked way more. Just a little side note, very interesting. So it took me out of my body immediately into this kind of space, and it felt like there was a UFO coming, or sometimes it felt like these entities kind of grabbed me, pulled me into their space, into their room. And it felt like being in a doctor's room. And then I could clearly see the shapes of entities. I don't remember exactly, but I think they were their whole body was out of light. And their body had kind of a human form, the form of a human, but it was completely light. And I could just vaguely see them kind of. But I noticed a couple of them around me, And then I noticed how they started to do a little operation on me. So they were having, like they were doing something with me or with my body. And I was like, whoa, this is interesting. This is like very, very unique experience for me. Because I've had hundreds of DMT experiences and none of them were like that. Like it's very interesting. As I said, many people from the psychedelic community report those experiences back, but after hundreds of experiences I never experienced that. And that was the first time that I experienced it on this little playground with just a little bit of Changa. So I was pulled out, they were doing their kinds of operations on me, and then I was thrown back into my body. I was like, wow, this is crazy. This is absolutely insane. And I didn't know like what to do with it. It's very hard to integrate this experience, but it filled me with gratitude, with wonder, with awe, and just like it invoked in me this kind of a feeling of like, yeah, thinking about life and about reality and the potential of what we can discover and what's out there. Also like the questions, are these entities that we are meeting, are those just reflections of our own mind, of something in our subconscious? Or are those entities real authorities, real beings in other dimensions, having a real influence on us? So it's very interesting. Like what were they doing? Like I have no clue. I have no idea. So that was very, very interesting. Very short experience. After that I came back into my body and I just saw like the sacred geometry all around me, especially in the full moon. I think full moon nights are very special for psychedelic experiences. I really like to have experiences on full moon nights. I have friends who are having especially no psychedelic experiences on full moon nights because they get quite intense and weird. But very interesting experience. And then that was it. That was basically it. My first entity encounter, I just wanted to report it back. I don't know what to do with it, but it's very nice. And a little nice after story from that. Because the next day I was working at the restaurant again. And it's like a whole nother dimension of consciousness. In my usual life, like I have like 4 or 5 days a week, I have free time, and then 2 days, 3 days I work for a little bit to pay rent. And this whole universe of the restaurant is like a whole different dimension of consciousness. And it's so funny, like standing there doing the mundane stuff of the day-to-day life in that universe. Serving people food, having a conversation with my mates or with my boss or something. And it's so funny, like having had this experience just a couple hours before and then being in that kind of environment again. And I felt kind of, it felt nice. Like there's a kind of beauty in the mundane. That's what it showed me. And it revealed like the cosmic joke of our reality, that so many people don't even know about that. So for example, I was having a conversation with my boss and he was like, yeah, what have you been doing yesterday night? And I'm like, I was adopted by aliens and they did a little operation on me. And he was like, because I can have like an open conversation about that with him. And it's so funny because he doesn't understand, it doesn't compete in his mind. And he's like, well, whatever. But being in that environment after that experience was a kind of funny after story to that experience. So that was it. That was my first entity encounter with the entities who are doing little operations on human beings. Very interesting stuff. Have you ever had this kind of experience? I would like to know. Let me know in the comment section down below. Have you ever tried DMT? Would you like to try DMT? All of that, let me know in the comment section down below. If you want to hear more trip reports or live experiences, see live experiences, for example, like this one, from DMT or other psychedelic substances, subscribe to the channel right now, follow along on this crazy journey of psychedelic exploration. And I love you all, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.